What's happening, YouTube? I know it's late winter and deer season is pretty much an afterthought at this point, but I wanted to do a short video on what I consider my ideal deer hunting rifle, especially for where I live in the country. I'm in Pennsylvania. It's very similar to, I would say, most of the states in the mid Atlantic, Northeast regions of the country. Some big woods, usually thick cover, thick brush, and for the most part, not your typical uh, long range opportunities. There are exceptions, of course. There's some agriculture. There's a lot of guys that sit and shooting shacks over big bean fields or cornfields, stuff like that. So it doesn't apply to everyone, but I would say for the most part, it's probably a pretty typical setup for someone, especially in this state, to have a pump action like a 760 Game Master or the newer 7600. You see a lot of Marlin 336s, old Winchesters. Things have kind of come along over the last few years as far as rifle manufacturers catering to that niche or that group of people that are looking for a short, quick rifle. Um, a handful of years ago in this state, straight wall rifle calibers were passed, permitted to be used in areas that were previously shotgun only. For the past 19, 20 years, I've been hunting a property in one of those areas in southeastern PA, and I was an early adopter of the straight wall. I went with the Ruger American Ranch in 350 Legend. Very short, 16-inch barrel, light, super handy rifle. Very affordable too. I'm a fan of Ruger. As a lefty, I love a tang safety. I think it's where safeties were meant to be. And it was kind of a no-brainer for me when I found this gun, particularly because of how short and light it is. I ended up putting a brake on it. It doesn't come with a brake from the factory. It just comes with a thread protector. I believe the 450 Bushmaster version does come with a brake. I put it on myself just to reduce a little bit of recoil, not knowing much about the caliber when I purchased it. Turns out it doesn't kick very much at all, even in this small package. With the brake, it's even more reduced. I would say around maybe like a 243, somewhere in that range. It does increase the noise, obviously, which is a drawback. But anyway, I ended up going with this rifle instead of the slug gun I'd been using most of my life for two reasons. Mostly for two reasons. Number one, I shot a rifled barrel in my slug gun, which resulted in me shooting sabots, sabots, however you prefer to say it. And I don't know if anyone's looked at the prices of those in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, but they've gone up, up, and up. A box of five, let's say light fields, which I think are no longer manufactured, or the Hornady SSTs, you're looking at between 13, 15, even upwards of $20 for a box of five. Whereas a box of old school Winchester PowerPoints, these are 180s, soft points. This is like in between 20 and $25, depending on where you look, for many more rounds of ammo. So that was reason number one. Reason number two is recoil. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but if I can limit it or at least cut it down, I'm all for that. It usually lends to better shooting. This is a fraction of what a slug gun is as far as recoil goes. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. I've taken a handful of deer with it over the past few years. Very impressed with the performance. And this is intermediate ranges, short to intermediate ranges, which, as I said before, is most of the hunting experiences I deal with in this state, and I would think for the most part, most hunters in this state deal with. I have an old Nikon Pro Staff on this. This is an actual. This scope was actually made for inline muzzleloaders and slug guns, but with the similar trajectory of the 350, it works out great. It's one of the BDC reticles, and I have it zeroed at 75 yards, so it works out great. I believe it's a 2-7, so it's low magnification. It's kind of a perfect setup in my opinion. One thing I do like too is the magazines it comes with, real, actual metal magazines. It comes with one that holds 5 rounds. I ended up buying a second because I like to have another mag for each of my guns. I inadvertently purchased a 10 round without knowing. They're the exact same size, just a little beefier spring in the 10 rounder. Don't really use that one just because I don't usually need somewhere around 10 rounds, but I could see people in feral hog areas really capitalizing on that setup, or an AR platform. Anyway, this rifle, along with a video I saw on the Vortex channel, inspired me to alter a rifle I've had for many years and sort of mimic it in a way, and create what I believe to be, in my opinion, my perfect deer rifle for the PA woods. This is a Tikka T3. It's an older one. It's before they started with the X. You can see it's left-handed. I'm a left-handed guy. It's the only left-handed gun I own, but I really do enjoy having that bolt on that side for just quicker acquisition, quicker. I mean, and anyone that run a Tikka or a Sacco knows how smooth and positive these bolts are. I ended up putting from Tikka directly the oversized bolt handle on there, which it's just a little screw. It's plastic. I don't expect much from it, but after a year, it's done good. I had my gunsmith cut this rifle down to 16¼ inches from, I believe, 21½ was the factory length. Had him cut it down and thread it. So it becomes essentially, I can get these both in the frame here. I mean, they're basically identical, except for barrel taper, and obviously caliber. This is chambered in .308. I bought this gun in my early 20s when I first started really getting into bear hunting. And I didn't have anything, bigger. My first deer rifle my dad got for me when I was 12 years old is a 7600 in .243. He bought that gun because I'm a lefty, and we were always small caliber guys. I have a few 243s. My dad has hunted with the 257 Roberts for as long as I can remember. Anyway, I didn't have anything I was confident with taking out in the bear woods. Not saying the 243 can't do it, but just wanted something with a little bit more ass behind it. So I ended up going with this. Absolutely love the gun. It's been through hell and back, and has always been very reliable and extremely accurate. Even in this current configuration, it's retained its accuracy. If not, maybe even gotten a little bit better. I think with the cutting down of the barrel, kind of stiffen that barrel up a little bit. Shoots very, very good. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, I have a Banish 30. I hunted with this rifle this past deer season for the first time as it is, and ran it with the can. I did take them. I believe it's a moderator compass. I don't remember exactly what this portion of the can is called, so please help me out in the comments. But I did remove that. It takes 2 inches. Takes the can from 9 to 7, just to reduce the overall length. I'll put it on here real quick. I know what you're probably thinking. You cut it down to 16 and then you put a can on it. You're kind of defeating the purpose. And I get that. I just like shooting suppressed, to be honest with you. And it brings it back to factory. With it in its shortest configuration, it's right at 22 inches on the dot. And like I said, I believe it was 21½ from the factory. So with the can on it, adds a ½ inch of what it was. But you get reduced recoil, you get reduced sound, and if you enjoy shooting suppressed, and even just at paper or steel or anything like that, it makes it nice. But this what I did here could absolutely be done, and you could just do a recessed crown or just a simple cut on the end of the barrel and leave it as is. There's no need to thread it and suppress it at all, and you're gaining that that advantage in the shorter barrel, quicker acquisition, just a handy little gun. And it's, even with the reduced barrel length, it's still a 308. So it's got more stuff behind it than that 350 for sure. You're losing, depending on the round you're firing, between 150 and 250 feet per second, I would say, from where it was originally. Which, the 308's not a screamer by any means, but still keeps it in a very, very comfortable pocket as far as velocity and energy. On top, I have a Vortex Crossfire 2. This is just a 1-4. It's got the illuminated dot in the center of the reticle. It's kind of a nice feature. I don't always use it, but it is nice to have in like that twilight, early morning, late evening time. I ended up getting a doe the second week of rifle season here in PA. It was like in the 70 to 80 yard range, which where I hunt in the woods is getting towards the top end of the shots you're gonna get. There's a lot of deer killed inside of 50 yards. Let's put it that way. So one could argue I didn't need to do this at all. I have that 350, and that's the bread and butter area for that rifle. That 50 to 150 range, I would say. But hey, I like to mess with stuff. So as you'll learn if you follow the page. It was super affordable. I want to say the gunsmith charged somewhere in like the 150 to 175 range to cut it down and thread it for me. He's a really good guy, and he's good at what he does. And then I think this bolt knob was, I don't know, don't quote me, but it wasn't very expensive, under $20, I would say. And then I ended up buying a 5-round magazine for the rifle. They come with 3s, which are almost a flush fitting magazine. If you're familiar with the Tikka, it's damn near flush. I got a 5-rounder just to add a little character and a little security, especially bear hunting. I want a couple more rounds, but yeah, it's quick. It's quick up at your shoulder. It's quick swinging with the low mag variable scope. I'm very confident in my abilities with it. I mean, 4 power out to 150 yards is more than adequate for whitetail hunting, I would say. And I don't really lose much. I can always take that scope off and put a bigger one on if I'm gonna go hunt somewhere where I know the ranges might be a little bit longer, but I'm not worried at all about the performance of the caliber after the cut. It's still going to do what it needs to do, I would say, out to 350 yards, which most hunters don't really ever shoot that far, and probably shouldn't shoot further unless you're really, really practicing and really, really shooting a lot. So just wanted to do that quickly and hear your opinions on it. What is your ideal Northeast woods rifle? Do you enjoy the old school stuff? Have you moved on to something newer school or new aged? How do you feel about the straight walls? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree? I want to hear your comments, your opinions on that. Quickly, ammo. I started the 350 with those PowerPoints just to get a base, and then ended up starting to hand load myself. These are 175 interlocks. Yeah, 100 interlocks. So 5 grain difference. Super easy to hand load. It's like an oversized pistol basically, so it's real easy. 27 grains of IMR. 27 grains of IMR 4227 on with those 175 interlocks on top. And these are once fired brass from the PowerPoints. So super easy to hand load and accurate. The gun, the 350 at 75 yards, zero, inside of an inch. It doesn't change anything at 100. It's a good gun. And Ruger, in my opinion, Ruger does a hell of a job. They have these new Gen 2s out now. They changed it a little bit with the stock, a little bit more of a high comb, which is nice, especially for, you know, everything's got a rail on it these days. It's going to bring your scope up. You want a good cheek weld, but this one sits real nice. And like I said, that tank safety, that's a quick sell for me usually. For the 308, generally hand load for that as well. Last year when I drew my Cal Elk tag here in PA, I hand loaded up some 165 grain Nosler partitions. They were sitting on top of 39.5 grains of 30-31. Ended up capitalizing on that hunt and was actually able to retrieve the bullet. It was on the far side of the hide, just sitting on the inside of the hide. Double long shot, and was able to pull the bullet out. It looks like it mushroomed down to that partition wall in the bullet and then stopped there. Started as a 165 and ended up as like a 98 grain mushroom. So did lose a bunch of weight there, but it did the job. That elk was no more than 80 yards away, clear shot. She went all 20-25 yards, and that was the end of her. Like I said, double lung usually does the trick. But this year, in the new setup, I wanted to try something new. So I went with these Hornady Outfitter. They're 165 grain CX. That's a copper bullet, which I have no prior experience with. They shot excellent out of the gun. I haven't really had a round that didn't shoot out of this Tikka, but they shot really well, and ended up shooting that doe, like I said, 70-80 yard range. Dropped her in her tracks. Really good bullet performance. It worked perfectly as it should, and it didn't blow up the deer very much. I mean, not the 308s are like crazy powerful. It's not a Magnum round or anything, but I've shot some deer in the past with it with 150 grain soft points, you know, and it seems like they did a lot more damage as far as meat goes too than the coppers did. So I'm interested to see moving forward how I can make those work even better. I want to try the one, I believe they make a 130 grain, which is a little light for caliber, but with the reduced velocity after the barrel being cut, it kind of brings it back up to square one, I guess you could say. So something to tinker around with maybe here in the summertime before next season. And that's pretty much it. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you a 300 Win Mag guy? That's fine if you are. They get it done, right? Or do you like these small handy rifles? Please let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, check out my other videos, and I'll catch you later.